Carl Jung invented an archetype which contains all the repressed psychological parts of a personality. He called it the shadow. In childhood, the shadow is mostly developed. Society, your parents, and you yourself regulate upcoming impulses. Only what is acceptable for the listed instances and many other factors can be successfully integrated. The other psychological impulses will be repressed. Repressed parts can, for example, be aggression, sexuality, as a man showing feminine traits, or as a woman showing masculine traits, and so on. But the shadow can also contain positive aspects, like showing affection, being merciful, forgiving, loving, etc. Since the shadow contains all that is repressed, it is also the storehouse of your disowned potential, containing everything you need to become whole. It is a lifelong task to successfully integrate your shadow. In this series, we will take any fictional character and try to uncover his or her shadow journey. Eren Yeager had a very complex and interesting shadow journey, going from highly emotional to understanding to a partly conscious and partly unconscious embodiment of his shadow. Since birth, freedom was a very important part of Eren's personality. He explained multiple times that he always disliked the walls. Armin showed Eren a book of the world outside, talking about endless fields of snow, sand, volcanoes, the sea, and so on. Eren and Armin were fascinated by the contents of the book. Since then, both shared the same dream to explore the world outside. Here, Eren began to project his dream world onto everything outside the walls. He dreamed of an adventurous world that could be reached if one overcame these depressing walls. Keep this scene in mind, it will become important. Not just the walls robbed him of his freedom, but also the Titans, which were the reason for the walls in first place. After the first horrific incidents with the Colossal Titan and the death of Eren's mother, he wanted to eliminate every Titan on the planet. A lot of time passed. Eren kept his determination to kill every enemy of humankind, which includes the other Titan Shifter and all the Titans themselves. But through the royal family, Eren learned the truth about his father and what he did to gain the founding power. That moment was the beginning of the end. From there on, the direct influence of future coordinate Eren started to mess with present Eren, so that he would stick to future Eren's plan. For the first time, Eren changed fundamentally, not being as emotional as usual, becoming more introverted. With Keith Shadis' flashback, where Carla told Shadis that Eren doesn't have to be special to change something, Eren again became his former self. Unfortunately, it was only for a very short period, because after he reached the basement, Eren learned the reality of what actually was beyond the walls. And as he said later, he was very disappointed. Okay, but before we dive into Eren's shadow journey, we firstly have to outline his shadow. For Eren, freedom was one of two very important pillars in life. He repeatedly said he was just born like that, striving towards freedom.
Because since the day I was born, this is who I've been.
Always when someone wasn't free or tried to take his freedom, he always reacted with a strong emotional reaction. He killed Mikasa's kidnapper, he was boiling with rage when Frida didn't want to fight back against the Mali, and he felt deep empathy and grief for Yumia, because she still was a slave to the royal family. Eren said that if someone tries to take his freedom, he won't hesitate to take theirs. The second pillar in his life were his friends and especially Mikasa. Eren wanted to protect his friends at all costs. He was ready to rumble over the whole world just to guarantee the future for the people he cared for. Eren also loved Mikasa romantically. From these listed personality traits, we are now able to outline Eren's shadow. The opposite of Eren's desire for freedom is being a slave, and the opposite of caring for his friends means distancing himself from them. Eren's love towards Mikasa would turn into hate for her. All of these shadow aspects can be found in Eren's outer personality. After Eren kissed Historia's hand, Eren began to express his shadow side more and more. He already changed quite a bit after finding out that there are other people beyond the walls, but the major trigger was the kiss. There, Eren realized that he was a slave to freedom. Eren again became more introverted, depressed and understanding, not being as emotional as usual, but he still expressed how important his friends were to him. there still was one option for Eren to dodge the brutal future visions he had. There still was Mikasa's choice. Eren tried to escape his future visions by asking Mikasa what he meant to her. The vision Eren presented Mikasa before she killed him was his last and probably only option to live a relatively quiet and peaceful life. But Mikasa decided otherwise, and from there on there was no comeback. Eren fully acted out his shadow traits. He distanced himself completely from his friends. He said to Mikasa that he always hated her and willingly followed everything which was predestined for him. In my Nagato video I explained shadow possession. If you don't take care of your shadow, there is the possibility that you become transparent to your shadow. You will become everything you try to repress. That is not what happened to Eren. Eren was aware of his shadow. He never truly hated his friends or Mikasa, and he knew about him being a slave to freedom. The whole time he put on an act. He consciously decided to make a persona which parallels his shadow, because that was the only possible way so that everything would go according to future Eren's plan. There's only one aspect Eren didn't notice about his shadow, namely his projection of his dream world. As I said in the beginning, Eren projected his child dream world onto everything that was beyond the walls. Therefore, he was deeply disappointed when he discovered the truth in his former basement. Armin, who had the same dream, also eventually found out the truth, but he was able to handle reality. Armin adopted to what the world actually was, and therefore it didn't bother him anymore. Eren wasn't capable of reality, and if you aren't able to adapt to reality, you are forced to live in denial and probably try your best to change reality into your projection. Eren did exactly that. The rumbling was also an unconscious expression of Eren's wish to transform the world beyond the walls into the world he dreamed of as a child. Everything that didn't match with Eren's early dream of the world outside had to be destroyed. That's the reason why Isayama showed us Kid Eren above the clouds appreciating freedom. Eren invited Armin to also participate in that moment because Armin was the only person to understand it. If you read Berserk, there are many similarities with the Lost Children arc. Eren was like Jill and Rosine. Or, if you watched Mr. Robot, Ji Zhang, aka White Rose, also parallels with Eren in that one aspect. And now the question arises. Where and how would Eren have had to confront his shadow in order to successfully integrate it? And to be honest, I don't know. In Nagato's case, it was relatively easy to say what he should have done to integrate his shadow. But in Naruto's verse, there isn't a limited fourth dimensional coordinate which allows you to act through space and time. Eren's whole existence was predetermined. And not just that, it reaches even further. Eren Krüger not killing Grisha, making him the next Attack Titan, suggesting him to start a family inside the walls, and telling him to stick to the mission if he wants to protect Mikasa and Armin. Coordinate Eren already planned out the life of his father. Even before his own birth, Eren already determined everything. The fourth dimension coordinate is beyond my comprehension. For Eren, I don't know where to start and how to pin down one section of Eren's life where he could have changed his destiny. Eren was totally driven by egocentric goals. He didn't believe in the transcendent. Although being able to sacrifice himself, he wasn't able to let his friends die in order to save as many people as possible. Mikasa did the opposite and therefore was able to save the people. Perhaps if Eren had the same attitude, which means letting his friends die in order to save as many as possible, maybe then Eren could have found peace, but that wasn't an option for him. The projection of Kid Eren's dream world is the only aspect I think he could have successfully integrated during his regular life. The last aspect I want to talk about is Eren being a slave to freedom. Eren's obsession with freedom was multiple times commented by Eren himself. He said that since birth he had that deep desire. It's just the way he is. Ymir also expressed a similar desire for freedom when she freed the pigs. I think Ymir purposefully created Eren, giving him 1 out of 2 personality traits of herself which she was unable to integrate. If you want to know more about Yumi's connection to Eren and Mikasa, I made a video explaining it. In that video I said I wasn't sure about Yumi creating Eren, or at least giving him a non-erasable attitude. But the more I thought about Eren being a slave to freedom, I don't see a more plausible explanation. Ymir planted the desire for freedom into Eren's personality, but Coordinate Eren did the rest, in terms of influencing present Eren with perfect timed memories from the past and future so that Eren continues to follow the path he should follow. Anyone who wanted to take away Eren's freedom, Eren didn't hesitate to take away their freedom. I think that sentence describes Eren pretty well. He literally turned the walls which stole his freedom into a massive army of colossal titans to rumble over all nations which wanted the people of paradise to die. Eren Yeager is a very complex character inside an equally complex world. He never truly had the chance to successfully integrate his shadow, although being aware of it. The partly determined world of Attack on Titan simply didn't allow it. Thank you for watching the video. This was my third shadow video. If you haven't seen the other two, I recommend you to watch them. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and write your opinion in the comments. The next video will also be about Attack on Titan, so hopefully see you soon.